It's season 2 of the F1 Manager Career Mode here, and as you can see, the post-Bahrain testing results, this Ferrari is not looking like a fast car, which is an immediate red flag for me because we were like the fastest car last season. We've put a lot of work in over the winter, we've put in a lot of upgrades, and we seem to be nowhere. And as practice one reveals it, it looks like Red Bull have got an almighty gap to the next car. I mean, even for starting days, teammates got a mighty gap. And at this point, the alarm bells were already beginning to ring. And as we went on through the sessions, yes, the gap closed, but look, it's like a half a second gap to everyone else. Alfa Romeo looked pretty good. You know, you get Gasly's moved there. In terms of the top teams, no one else has really switched teams. Vettel and Albon have moved to AlphaTauri, while Williams have got like Lance Stroll and Shinoda, so I mean they're going to score no points again this year. But as we go into Q1, Leclerc goes across the line, does a pretty good lap time, but as you can see, just nowhere to be seen. And as we head towards Q2, you can see we're 5th and 6th, but you know, if Red Bull weren't in this, like said they just weren't, like I had no idea who'd won the championship this year because you've got Alpine, Alpha, Mercedes, and Ferrari so evenly matched. And as we go into Q3, it's no real surprise that Red Bull make it a 1-2. Leclerc manages to scrape a P3, and Carlos Sainz gets a P6. And I think tomorrow is going to be all for the action in the race. Can't wait for it.
There we go for the start of Season 2 in Bahrain. I mean, apart from Red Bull, it looks pretty evenly matched behind Ferrari. We've fucking slacked in the winter. But is what it is. Hopefully the race pace makes up for the quali pace that just was quite non-existent. But Leclerc trying to hang it around the Red Bulls. But I've just got a feeling until this Ferrari team brings some major upgrades, it is going to be a walk in the park for Red Bull and basically for Verstappen. So basically it's going to be the 2022 season, especially the second half, where Red Bull have won like 10 races in a row. But as you see, we've got Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Bottas, Russell, Sainz, Alonso, Gasly, Hamilton, Ocon, Albon, Magnussen, Vettel, Norris, Ricciardo, Zhou, Van Dorn, Shinoda, Mick Schumacher and Stroll. It's weird seeing all these drivers that have changed teams, but you know, hopefully Ferrari can stick the finger out and get the job done in this race. I don't know what to really expect, but Red Bull just looked too quick. I'm sorry, it has to be said. We're moving on to lap 3. I mean, even look on to lap 3. Red Bull have a gap of 2.8 seconds. Perez looks like he's going for the manoeuvre on Verstappen, while we, on the other hand, are getting pressurised by Valtteri Bottas. And as you can see, it kind of looks like the rest of the grid has complete and utterly closed up. But, you know, Ferrari, this, from like winning the season quite comfortably, this is a bit of a disaster, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it is. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get on the Red Bull's level, but I mean, you can quite clearly see that they're just a lot faster than everyone else. I mean, everyone else is within tenths, and then there's just Leclerc 3.5 behind the Red Bulls. I mean, we're 8 laps in with only 2 cars on the medium tyres, but as you can see, I mean, there's an 8.4 gap to Verstappen and Perez. Those two are battling side by side, right? Every lap by the looks, and we still can't get close. Yes, we're kind of just getting overtook by everyone and like re-overtaking, because I think the DRS in this, well, no, I don't think. I know it's a bit broke, right? Undeniably, but weirdly, Ocon's got the fastest lap, sitting in 10th. Not really 100% sure what's going on there, but I mean, maybe. I mean, hopefully, for our point of view, like, once these guys have to pit off the soft tyres, us and Carlos, well, I say us and Carlos, no, I run both of these guys. I'm not Leclerc, but Leclerc's leading out of us so far, and there's a yellow flag, and who has spun off? It is an Aston Martin. A safety car would probably help us big time, but is what it is. As you can see, Alonso's opened up the DRS, and it looks like he could be going for a double manoeuvre here. We've got 3 cars. Oh my god, man. And Alonso is up into P3. Russell and Leclerc have to just accept their shite and move on. Max Verstappen looking for a manoeuvre, and Perez loses the back end, spins, and that has made him drop a 6-second gap to Sergio Perez. Russell's back up into 3rd. Bottas has sneaked past Leclerc, and Gasly in the Alpha is ahead of Sainz. I mean, I just don't know what to do. I mean, we have to go long, so we can't undercut, so we just have to like sit in this battle, this fucking train of cars for the foreseeable future. Quite a few drivers are pitting now. We've got Sainz and Leclerc swapping positions. Verstappen stays out, Bottas stays out, and I tell you what, that was a very late lunge there by Sainz and Leclerc, almost on Bottas. But where will Perez come out? If Perez comes out in traffic, I mean, I'm not saying we're in a fight for victory, but we are on the alternative strategy. Which, I mean, when you don't have the car underneath you, you kind of need to go on that. But we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes, and maybe I'll turn the engines up once Bottas pits. So we currently have a 10.5 second gap over Perez. Verstappen 17.6 behind. Lance Stroll finally decides to pit, but it just shows you how close the field is, because Stroll's actually running 5th in a Williams there. Last season that just would not have happened. Bottas moved up to 5th, so I mean, if we can just keep, I mean, what tyres do they put on? Some of them put on hard, some of them put on medium, so it's a mixed strategy. I mean, hopefully we can just go straight from mediums to hards and do a one-stopper. That would be the dream. That would be the ticket. But I'm hoping to get to about lap... I mean, if we get to lap 25, there's no real reason why you can't do 32 laps on hards if you just did 25 on mediums. But the way the tyres are going, I see no reason why we can't extend the stint. I mean, I'm not going to pit until Perez catches us. I think that's the logical move, and he's 9.8 behind. And even if he does catch us, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the scenarios play out there. Oh, there's been a crash and the VSC is out. Whoa! I don't know who's crashed, but that kind of... that kind of fucks us, because right, there's the pit lane right there, right? I'm going to have to pit Sainz, because I don't think Ferrari would come in for Leclerc there. And it's kind of... it's not what I want it to do, but I kind of feel like we have to pit one of the cars. We have to risk one of them with the VSC here, so we're going to pit Carlos Sainz. No, we're going to put Sainz on a 2-stop. Right, I don't know who's actually crashed, so we'll probably find out right now. But yep, that's pit him now, so hopefully... I don't know who's actually crashed. Crash involving multiple cars, so let's see here. Looks like a Williams and an Aston Martin. It's Tsunoda, Yuki Tsunoda. I mean, that was, I don't know what the fuck, that was just a pretty shite all around there. And the VSC is out, so Carlos Sainz in the pits coming out. I actually think Carlos Sainz might be beating Max Verstappen here. Nah, I don't think he's beating Verstappen, which, I mean, is pretty weird considering we're on their feet. Oh, he might be. Come on. Yeah. Oh, yes. Carlos Sainz has beat Max Verstappen at the pit lane. That's exactly what we like to see. Exactly what we like to see. Guan Yu Zhou's having the pit after contact with Tsunoda. And we're going to put everyone on conserve and harvest. VSC back underway. Get that off harvest, or else Verstappen is going to be all over you. Perez has already gained a shit ton, but I mean, look at that. Sainz is trying to warm up his tyres, but you know, we're going to go aggressive because he's on a 2-stop. You know, he's on a 2-stop, so Carlos Sainz has to go for it, but he's trying to defend Max Verstappen. But I feel like Verstappen, he's had a few incidents today. He is going to be very feisty here. And I don't know if we're going to be able to compete with the pace of the Red Bull, which look, I mean, the front end of that Red Bull looks like it's lifting off the ground. I don't know what fucking downforce levels they're running. Seems a bit dodgy, but Sainz manages to keep Verstappen behind him. Sainz and Leclerc battling down the straight again, and Carlos Sainz actually sets the fastest lap of the race. And is flying here. I mean, we've got 11 seconds to Leclerc. Leclerc's beginning to lose a lot of time. And you're kind of wondering at this point, was the VSC worth it? But at this point, with 33 laps to go, can Leclerc just stretch out the one-stop strategy? I'm praying that he can. But we're going to have to see how this all unfolds towards the end. Aston Martin, disaster for Schumacher and Zhou. Back row, 19th and 20th. Sainz has dropped behind Verstappen, but we are megally closing to the top two. Leclerc, I'll probably do one more lap for Charles Leclerc, and then we'll put on, I mean, looks like Perez is going to have to get him here. That's it, Leclerc. Know your role. Know your role. How long can the hards go? 39 laps. And we've got 31 to go. That's exactly what we like to see. We'll pit Charles Leclerc this lap. Absolutely, that is exactly what's going to have to go down. And Ferrari, for looking like absolute nowhere in this race, have suddenly turned the heat on. You know, like, strategy is megally helped, of course, but we're taking the fight to Red Bull in an inferior car. Where is Leclerc coming out? Yes, he's beat that big gaggle of cars. You've got Albon, Ocon, Vettel and Magnussen all battling, but he's came it behind Gasly, but hopefully Leclerc... We can't really push Leclerc's tyres, that's the only thing. You know, we need to kind of just save them. But look at that, Sainz and Verstappen have absolutely made the gap up to Perez. But that's the heck, is Perez going to the end? He can go to the end. So can Verstappen, technically. Sainz is the only guy here that can't really go to the end, so we're going to see how this is going to play out. And we've got a freeway battle, Perez, Sainz and Verstappen, but I just don't think the hard tyres are that good. And evidence of that would be Leclerc dropping behind Albon, which is a bit of a disaster. Carlos Sainz pushing his medium tyres, trying to find the way back past Max Verstappen. Bottas, nearest driver to these three, 10.6 behind. And I just feel like Leclerc has slipped out this fight for victory. He's 23.4 behind on tyres that... Yeah, Leclerc's just come on the radio saying he doesn't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening, mate. Where the fuck's your pace went? Bottas has spun and it's dropped him into the clutches of Russell and Alonso, which is, I mean, it's kind of took anyone else at this fight for victory. But Sainz is doing good. I mean, the only thing is we have to pit again. The other two don't. But I'm hoping if Sainz can keep this pace up, hopefully we can beat out the likes of Bottas and Russell and Alonso. I'm hoping so. And then that means we can put on softs and we can just push for like 15 laps to the end. As you see, those gaps beginning to form at the front of the grid. Sainz on lap 4. I mean, Perez has actually run wide, so you've got Sainz leading for Perez, Verstappen, Russell, Bottas, Alonso, Leclerc. He's even 10 seconds behind fucking Alonso. I mean, he's just lost it to Albon. I mean, I think the hard tyre strategy for Leclerc has kind of turned into a fucking disaster. But Carlos Sainz is fighting here, and we need to beat out those trio of cars in 4th, 5th and 6th. I mean, they're probably going to the end, that's the only concern. Bottas is pitting, and I want to get to lap 42. Sainz has dropped behind both Red Bulls, but we can do this. Or can we? Because Max Verstappen has decided to pit, and that may have drastically changed the outcome of this race, because I wasn't banking on that. I wasn't banking on Red Bull pitting again with Max Verstappen. I don't know if they're going to pit with Perez, but I mean, look how much Verstappen's even beat Leclerc out by. That's a disgrace. Sainz gets beat out by Verstappen, but then Russell and Fingy come in. So let's see what the second and third guys could do compared to Sergio Perez. But Perez pits. What is going on in this? Why would Perez even pit? I don't understand. Like, surely you'd have to stay out. And we've got Leclerc has been overtook by Bottas, and you just feel like Leclerc is just going to constantly sink in this race. Perez getting a lot closer to Sainz. It looked like Ferrari could have had a decent chance at victory, but now beginning to slip into the DRS of Sergio Perez, and it could be all over. We've got them both battling, but Perez hangs it around the outside, and I think that could be all they wrote for Ferrari in terms of third place. Ricciardo's had a spin. Leclerc is in ninth. Kind of just sums up how much of a fucking mess this has been for Ferrari. Well, Carlos Sainz is going to have to go for it. Overtake mode. Battery empty on Leclerc. Not what you like to see. We're push as well. We're going to put the tyres to attack here as we've got 2 laps to go. And Sainz is trying to hang it around the outside of Perez, but he's had the door closed in his coupon, and I don't think it's happening, to be honest. I don't think it's fucking happening. It's the last lap for Max Verstappen, and now Carlos Sainz, the battery is dead, but the tyres and the fuel are fucking red. And he's went for it. He's launching it on Perez, and surely Perez fights it. Be funny if these two took each other out, it really would be, but Perez got no DRS, and that may be crucial in this fight. And we'll turn it down. Turn it down a bit. Leclerc looks like he can hopefully hang on. We'll go to Leclerc now, actually. Leclerc is holding up a 4-car fucking train, and to be honest, at the end of this straight, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the last car in it. I mean, that may have been an over-exaggeration when I said it, but at this current point, it honestly looks like he's going to be the last fucking car. And he is! Oh, come on, Charles Leclerc. Oh, fuck. And now back. Perez is overtook. Sainz, we've just ran out of... disaster. Disaster. Verstappen's won the race. Perez is going to beat Sainz easy, but can Leclerc scrape a point? We're going to need a bit of chaos to happen ahead of us. But I mean, the worrying thing is, we've failed to score points on merit. Like, I know he's finished like 45 seconds behind his teammate, but you know, Sainz kind of looked into that. Yeah, we put Leclerc on the wrong strategy, but you wouldn't have thought the wrong strategy would have meant no points. Which sums it up, but we've got Gasly, he's overtook both AlphaTauris and a Ferrari here, and he will get 9th, and he's going to confirm double points. So it's finished. Verstappen, from Perez, from Carlos Sainz, from Russell, from Bottas, from Alonso, from Ocon, from Hamilton, from Gasly, from Albon, from Vettel, and from Leclerc. Whoa.
A very up and down race. Sainz gets a podium, Leclerc finishes outside the points, but guys, check out Saudi Arabia.